Hello, everyone. I'm David Wisner, Professor of International Relations at ACT, the American College of Thessaloniki, and Executive Director of the Dukakis Center in Public Service, also in Thessaloniki. I'd like to welcome you to this, our first episode of a new web-based video podcast entitled This Day and Age. We'll be welcomed in just a brief moment. We'll be joined in just a brief moment, by Epaminondas Christofilopoulos. But allow me here just to say a word or two about what the purpose of this podcast is. The purpose of the podcast is to highlight in English the thinking of some of my Greek colleagues on a subject which is just now beginning to see the light of day in very select circles. Our guests will be welcome to reflect on how their training may have equipped them to think in post-virus terms, to share what they are reading on the subject, and to draw attention to some of the inspiring efforts Hellenes are making to help their fellow citizens cope with the lockdown. This is the day after COVID-19. So now I'm happy to welcome Epaminondas Christofilopoulos, who's the chair holder of the UNESCO Chair in Futures Research, based in Thessaloniki, and the co-founder of the Greek node of the Millennium Project. Epaminondas, welcome. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Hello, David. First, I think it's better not to say my whole name again, because it will be very difficult for our foreign guests to follow the discussion. So you can just call me Epaminondas. Here in the UNESCO Chair, we are one unit in the Foundation for Research and Technology, which is a research institution. And what we do is we are dealing with the future. We do scenarios for the future. We also try to build capacity in the society of how we think about the future and how we use the future to improve our lives. So briefly, this is how what we are doing, and then we have different projects on different fields.
Okay, well, what is your involvement in the Millennium Project?
Oh, okay, yes, the Millennium Project. In case you don't know, you know, but maybe some of our friends don't know, the Millennium Project is a global think tank. It was created like 20 years ago. It was a study from the UN University in Washington. And then now it's a global think tank with nodes around the world. And what we do is that we do different kind of future studies about humanity. And I'm one of the two chairs of the Greek nodes. And we are working with our colleagues around the world on different research projects and topics that are of interest.
Okay, excellent. And you recently published a rather important document, some of the fruit of your recent research. Can you describe that a little bit for us?
Yeah, yes, that was a huge project. It was a 3-year work. A lot of us were involved, and that was about the future of technology and the future of work with quite long horizon towards 2050. And we built 3 scenarios. Actually, in one of the scenarios, actually in all the scenarios, we were dealing with a similar situation related with bio-related dangers of different nature, but some of the things that we had to deal in the future is what we are actually dealing today with COVID-19.
Okay, well, that's excellent, because that was my first question. It is a scenario that one might have imagined, therefore, as you're thinking about where we go from 2020, prior to the outbreak of the virus, at least its European dimension. You had been studying such phenomena.
Sorry, David, I lost the sound completely.
Okay, so we're having a technical problem here. So basically, to repeat, it appears as if the research you have been doing up until, let's say, the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020, focused on the kind of situation we find ourselves in today.
Yeah. Actually, yes. One of the work when you are writing scenarios, you try also to to imagine or foresee some of these kind of wildcat events that may change the future quite rapidly, events that you cannot actually foresee or expect. And in our scenarios, we have describing this kind of events of different nature, and in some cases, we are talking about this kind of bioterrorism or other kind of dangers that might appear. And then we have to deal with situations like the situations we're experiencing today. I think these are dangerous dangers that we have to deal in the future, and we have to address because of the globalization. Everything is moving quite fast. I mean, 50 years ago, a virus like this probably would still be in China and still be there, and maybe will be moving to Europe, I don't know, in a year with a ship or something. Today, with the globalization, everything is moving quite fast. So dangers like this are is something that we have to see more and more in the future.
Okay, so let me ask you then, with respect to the response we've had in Greece, with the perhaps preemptive decision by the government of the current prime minister, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, to shut down the schools and to finally urge people to stay indoors, meno me spiti, as we say in Greek. Is this something you might have predicted as you're thinking about possible responses to virus or biological terrorism or something like that? Have we responded in a way that you might have expected?
Actually, I was quite surprised about how systematically we responded and how quickly we responded to the crisis. As you can see, other countries like UK or even USA, we still have, we are receiving like different messages. The strategy is not clear. I mean, Mardi Gras in New Orleans happened as nothing was happening. Days ago. So I was really surprised about how quickly we reacted and how the strategy was really clear and was communicated also very correctly to the citizens. And if you see that everybody knows what to do and staying in home. Now, if the strategy is right, we'll see in the future, of course. And of course, we have to evaluate this. We can evaluate this with different perspectives. I mean, if we value lives, maybe it will prove that the strategy was right, because it seems so far that we are really successful on saving lives.
Yes, there haven't been a lot of cases and very, very few fatalities so far, and we should be, I suppose, thankful that that's the case. Here's a question for you. How, if at all, has the current outbreak of the coronavirus changed the way you think about doing your research?
Yeah, that's nice. Well, actually, in our case, the way we are doing the research is not changing so much, because we are a team that we are distributed in different cities, so we can be working quite a lot distantly. So we are used in this way of working without meeting each other very often, maybe once a month. But it actually raised a lot of research questions. So we are really worried and thinking again what are going to be the long-term effects of this crisis. I mean, we can see already what is the direct impact in the economy and the different aspects of our lives. But it's really interesting to see if we're going to have some long-term impacts. Yeah.
So in terms of the day after, which is perhaps quite some distance away still, is there something that you're focused on? There is now starting to be some literature in popular media and in more serious academic and scientific journals, people thinking about how the current crisis is really going to be a major turning point. What are you looking at? What are you reading? And how is it impacting your thinking?
Yeah, exactly as you said, there are a lot of nice readings. A lot of them are quite dystopian, I would say. Life will be transformed in a more like controlled way by the governments controlling the lives of people. But what I'm more interested to see if we're gonna see some more permanent changes in the way we are living our everyday lives. I mean, it's we still see pop-up ads in the internet for buying clothes or for buying a new car, and I mean they are very ridiculous at this moment. Who wants to buy a new car, or who wants to buy a new shirt? This situation, who needs this? And I think we are also starting to appreciate a forgotten book or a walk in the rain, maybe. So I'm just wondering if this going to produce some changes in our behavior, and what these changes are going to mean for the other parts of our lives.
So you would agree, regardless, that there will be some lasting changes as a result of the current health emergency.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping. I mean, we can definitely think of some positive scenarios. We see a positive effect on climate change with these 2 months, where production is eliminated in China and also in Europe now and other parts in the world. But I can imagine also new movements in the society, like things like I can imagine slow fashion, or the use of clothes, or new will make them refresh them and make them a new look, or new movements, DIY movement that will go together and repair our stuff. So that might be some interesting movements that if we might see in the future if we are lucky.
Okay, so it makes predicting the future a little bit precarious, does it not? It is something that you can't do with any more certainty than you might have been able to do up until recently. Now, as a Hellene who travels abroad, who works with colleagues around the world, is there something you see among your compatriots here in Greece, in Thessaloniki and elsewhere, that in particular that's inspired you? Some initiative, some activity, some endeavor, besides the general spirit of cooperation and collaboration. You know, is there something that you might want to signal for the audience out there? Here's something that I've seen recently that I find really inspiring.
Honestly, I'm not really. It's very difficult for me to be really surprised by something. I believe we are still in the beginning in the crisis and in the lockdown. So I think we also the fatalities are very few at the moment. So I believe we still we are in the first days. We're trying to actually to fine-tune our lives, but I think there are more to be seen in the next days. There are some efforts, some virtual hackathons for new ideas. I see some companies changing their production to give products for the hospitals, but I don't think we are still experiencing what we're gonna see in the next weeks. I think we are in a very early stage.
Okay. So in a sense, then here we might count ourselves as one of these initiatives to try to inform our fellow citizens, to urge them to take action, to do something positive, and to share their experience with the rest of us out here who are communicating now, unfortunately, through a little box on our desk, a computer with a video camera. Well, that's the way we'll be speaking with one another for quite some time now. Epaminondas, I want to thank you. Can you remind the audience where you're based here in Thessaloniki, where you undertake most of your major
Well,
activity.
yeah, okay. I mean, my office now is in Panorama, but my real office is in the center, in the Federation of Industries of Greece. And of course, we have a website, the www.futures.gr, that people can find what we are doing and what are the ongoing projects. And hopefully we're gonna be able to meet together on a physical way, David, soon.
Yeah, I do hope so. And if we had to postpone our big conference in April, we'll try to reschedule, and we'll certainly do something in the coming months once we're able to circulate once again. So thank you once again, and would like to remind our audience that we'll be appearing here with some degree of frequency with fellow colleagues like Epaminondas, who are doing interesting research, who have a perspective that's worth sharing. And we're seeking to expand the horizon, so to speak, by conducting these interviews in English, so our colleagues outside of Greece can perhaps take some inspiration from the efforts that are underway here. Thank you very much, and we're going to sign off. Thank you.